Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by Martín Stewart, guitarist of Terror, God's Hate, Xibalba, vocalist of Donnybrook. He's been in a lot of LA bands. He's also been a part of the Sound and Fury crew for a number of years as well. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, Caffeinated crew? Today on the podcast, I'm joined by somebody that, we have. Mr. Worldwide would be, I guess, considered Pitbull, the king of Miami. We have the king of what I would consider LA hardcore, Martín, on the podcast. How are you doing, Martín?
I'm doing fantastic. That was quite an intro, yeah.
Well, I mean, should we name off the roster, I guess? Terror, Xibalba, Criminal Instinct, God's Hate, Lion Crew, or Like It or Not. What else? Is there anything else I'm missing? Donnybrook.
A lot of those are like, half of those are like pretty inactive at this point.
Right.
But Terror, God's Hate, Xibalba, very, very active, especially right now. We've been doing a lot of shows, and I've recently been playing, going on tour and playing shows here and there with Newfound Glory, and that's been pretty wild. That's like a whole different experience for me. So that's been really cool. And I joined another band, I can't remember when it happened, maybe last year or something. They're based in Germany, called World Collapse.
Oh yeah.
And so I did a show with them, and we've been working on new music and stuff. So nothing's come out yet, but it's slowly coming together. Yeah. So, and I'm sure there's some other stuff that I'm not thinking of right now, but yeah.
So you basically have no time, and yet you're sitting here talking to me about coffee and music.
And not only that, I have a full-time job, but I work remotely, so that makes it way, way easier. Used to be, we had an office, so when I wasn't on tour, I would get home and immediately, if I got home on a Sunday, Monday morning, I would be back in the office, basically 9 to 5. So
damn.
It's pretty, it gets hectic sometimes, but I feel like I manage it pretty well for the most part.
You seem very relaxed and calm for somebody who I think I've seen you. I think Hate 5-6 and the shows that have come out recently, I'm like, I can't believe all these shows. Martín played these shows. So I mean, you seem chill.
That's a product of being born and raised in LA. I think we're just kind of chill out here. Yeah. So I just take it as it comes and deal with it. Yeah.
It's chill for, I guess, if you're from that area. For somebody like me, we're very East Coast minded, and LA is not terrifying, but just so stressful to me. Like that.
Yeah. It goes the other way for us, man. Right. When I set foot onto the East Coast, I'm just like immediately stressed out. Like, oh my God, this is just, it's too chaotic for me. Yeah. So I totally get it. Yeah.
But I mean, to each their own, there's always that East Coast, West Coast. I don't want to say hate, but like almost like a competition. But at the end of the day, we're all part of the same kind of hardcore family. So
absolutely,
there's always respect, always love. Well, let's talk a little bit about coffee. I definitely do want to talk more about World Collapse, because I want to know how you're even writing music with the band in Germany. But we'll get into that. What are you drinking this afternoon?
So I got the little prepackaged blue bottle iced coffee.
Nice.
And it's so good. Yeah, it's amazing. But every now and then I'll go to one of their actual stores, and it's always chaos. There's always so many people there. And I feel like they're everywhere now, right? Mm-hmm. I think they're across, I don't know about international, but they're definitely I've seen them in different parts of the country and stuff. And it's always bomb, like high quality. It's like the fancy Starbucks, I guess, because I love Starbucks too. I mean, I know that's probably a cardinal sin for like serious coffee people, but when you travel a lot, if you're international, it's like going to McDonald's, where you kind of just, it's a safe bet. You know exactly what you're going to get no matter where in the world that you're at. Yeah. So But around here, I live on the east side of LA. I'm in South Pasadena, and
Hmm.
I'm right next door to a place called Highland Park, and they have like a ton of like I don't know what I guess independent coffee shops. I don't know what you would call them. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're like non-chain
Hmm.
coffee shops, and man, some of the best in the world. This place I go to often, it's called Kindness and Mischief, and it's like,
That's sick.
man,
Yeah, I
a
like
little
that.
pricey. It's a little pricey, but it's you feel safe paying that when you walk in there and you just see the way everything is like the way everything's branded and put
Hmm.
together and the quality of food and drinks they have there, and it's just it's top notch.
That sounds like a very like what we would call third wavy, and I'm doing that in quotations, but third wave coffee, like the branding's really nice and like hipster
Oh,
looking, and all of the
oh yeah,
baristas have very, very tightly rolled beanies and like
yep.
denim aprons.
That's how you know it's going to be good. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
There's Kindness and Mischief, and then there's one called Sybil that's
Hmm.
right up the street, and then across from that is a place called Go Get 'Em Tiger, which
Go Get 'Em
I've
Tiger is
they have
sick.
multiple places around
Hmm.
LA, I think now. Yeah, but all those are like within 2 minutes walking of each other, and it's like any of those is like it's a home run if you get something from either of those places. But they're all kind of similar. Where
Yeah.
I mean, just the names like Go Get 'Em Tiger for a coffee shop name is insane to me, but it's like what you're getting before you even go in there just by hearing
Hmm.
the name of the place. Yeah, so and being on tour, I'll always kind of try to find places like that in different cities and stuff. And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes it's a total bust.
Yeah.
And then that's when if it's bad, then I'll search where's the nearest Starbucks, walk because there's always one within like a half a mile basically of wherever you're at. So
Right.
it's pretty convenient. Yeah.
Yeah. The Go Get 'Em Tiger I had the first time I spent more than like a day in LA. I was able to go to the
uh,
one like around Paramount. And
did you already know what it was, or did you search
no, I had a heads
for
up
like
from
good coffee and someone give you a heads
yeah,
up?
I had a
Okay.
heads up from a coffee guy that I'm friends with here. He runs a shop. But he used to work for 49th Parallel, which is in Vancouver. And so
Okay.
that shop used to actually Go Get 'Em Tiger, or Go Get 'Em Tiger used to use 49th Parallel. So he was like their
Oh, they will get the
distributor.
beans from them, and then
Yeah.
okay.
And then they started roasting their own, and he had heard good things. So he told me to check that out as well as like a few others. But during the
Hmm.
pandemic, I had to like order on my phone online and like sit in my car and then wait and pick it up at
Oh
the window.
yeah,
It was so
yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah. That was a weird time for sure. Yeah, you mentioned the whole pandemic time. There was a
Hmm.
place that's like 2 blocks up from me that I would walk to basically every morning called Two Kids Coffee,
Okay.
and it's like very similar. It's like everything's branded perfectly. It's like the coolest spot. But I would do that. I would just walk up there and then order. They set up like a little desk at the front door, and that was
Hmm.
like their ordering window. And so
Right.
for a good portion of time, it was like that was my morning routine. Walk up there, grab that, and walk back. Yeah, crazy time to think about. Like a very I don't even
And
want to
in
think
the
about it.
middle
It's
of
so
it,
weird.
yeah, in the middle of it, it felt like it was like an eternity. It felt like it
Yeah,
was taking so much time. And then now we look back, we're like,
yeah.
when was that? Like, when did that even happen? It's so
It
weird.
feels like the distant past to me now, just
Hmm.
because so much. Like we lived like so much in the period of time where that all stopped, and it was just like chaos. Do everything you possibly could. So now it feels like that happened like a decade ago or something,
Right.
even though it was like a year ago or whatever. But yeah.
Um, I noticed that you're drinking the New Orleans style boo bottle as well.
Yeah.
Is it got
I,
cardamom or chicory in it or something like that?
roasted chicory, yeah, and you
That's
could
it.
definitely taste it. I didn't know what it was because I didn't realize that it was New Orleans style, and
Hmm.
I just grabbed it because it's like the market across the street from me has them, and right when I tasted, it, I was like, oh, whoa, that's
Yeah,
interesting, but
it's a
it's
weird
good.
taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
That always throws me off. There's a place here that has cans. It's called Station, and they make iced coffee in cans and do like the Cafe du Monde, like iced coffee or whatever with the chicory. And the
Mhm.
first time I tried, I was like, I either hate
Yeah,
this or love this, and I can't figure out where I'm at in between. But
yeah, for sure.
it's a choice.
It's interesting. I'll say that. Yeah, but I totally enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy it. And this coffee, man, I'm like, for as much as I consume coffee and other caffeinated beverages, I'm like super sensitive to it.
Hmm.
So it's 3:30 p.m. here right now, and I'm having this, and this is probably going to keep me awake all night long
I'm so
because it
sorry.
just, yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, yeah, I got a lot of things to do anyway, so it's not, I'll make use out of that energy.
Well, today I was blessed by my father being in town this past weekend, and he brought some stuff from Akron, Ohio. It's from Portal West. It's called Behold. It's got a cool kind of weird
Oh yeah, I like that.
bag.
I like that branding. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like a blend. It's got Guatemalan, Ethiopian, and like Rwandan coffee all mixed in there. But I did something different. I usually do a pour over for every guest. But since it's nighttime,
Whoa.
I'm feeling a little bit, sassy, a little naughty. I decided to make an espresso tonic. So it's a Fever Tree elderflower tonic water. I don't know if you've tried this.
No, I've never
It's
even heard of that.
it's good. I use it for
Okay.
like gin and tonics all the time. But then you just put some
Nice.
orange peel and then the espresso on top, so it floats. It's cool. Had some
Yeah.
friends
Wow. So
asking me
you
about it recently because I was talking to somebody else about it on an episode. So I thought I'd taste it for the people listening that want to know about
no,
it.
no sort of sweetener in there or anything.
No, so oh wow, that's actually crazy good. So the elderflower like tonic, it's got that quinine or whatever that ingredient is that gives the nice
Kind of
citrus.
sweetens it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the espresso has the chocolate. So that citrus and weird bitterness from the tonic brings the chocolate out of the espresso.
Okay.
So
Wow, that's some real deal
I
stuff
wasn't
right
trying to
there.
go, I promise you, I wasn't trying to go full blown like weird hipster coffee person,
Yeah.
but it went there really fast. But it's really good. It's like a coffee
Yeah.
cocktail almost.
Crazy. I'd try it. I can't be convinced that I would actually enjoy it, but I would definitely drink it. Yeah.
In the summer,
Sounds.
when it's like 90 degrees, that's the drink.
Yeah. Oh man, summer there gets pretty brutal too, like with the humidity and
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah. So I know
But
that feeling.
so sorry if I went like crazy deep.
Hey, it's all good. Yeah, I respect it.
I don't like doing espresso coffees on a like a pour over, so I tried to do
Right.
something different and it got way out of hand really fast.
Hey,
But
cool.
it's delicious for everybody that wants to know. It tastes very like floral with chocolate. It's like a chocolate orange basically.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool.
So that's enough about
Cheers.
that. Cheers to you.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you for indulging me in my weird espresso deep dive.
No problem. No problem at all.
Do you have like a morning playlist? Because I read, I think an interview you'd done a long time ago with the thanks list. You did like a playlist of all these different influential, I think, bands and stuff like that, and it was super diverse.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
do you have like a morning kind of listening that you do?
Well, lately, yes. Like I listen to music most of the time. That's like
Mhm.
such a huge part of my life. Whether I'm just chilling at home, I'm working, I'm driving, whatever. It's like today I'm not listening to music. I was watching Seinfeld for some reason. Like while I wasn't really watching it, I was like working, and it was just kind of like the sound in the background or whatever.
Right.
But lately, over the past like few months or so, there's this guy who calls himself Hole Dweller, and
Okay.
it's dungeon synth is like the
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the genre of music. So basically this dude writes this instrumental music. It's like MIDI. It sounds like video game music.
Mhm.
And it's every record that he puts out is like a theme, and each song is a little story, and it's all based around a hobbit.
That's cool.
Not yeah. So it's basically if you were playing a Lord of the Rings game from the 90s, this would probably be the soundtrack. And so that's like I just blast that while I'm, getting ready or working or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know what it is about it. It's like, it's soothing, but it's also motivating to me, and like, I don't know, it gets me kind of pumped up in a weird way. And if people hear it or know what I'm talking about, they're gonna be like, that's really weird. But yeah, that's definitely my go-to right now.
It seems like synthwave and dungeon synth have been on a huge come up recently. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I feel
even
the, I feel the same
too.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, there's like, I don't know. I know there's like labels that exclusively put out dungeon synth and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long they've been around or whatever. I mean, I was always aware of the kind of music, and there was always artists here and there that I would listen to. But within the past, I would say like couple of years or so, I started really, it happened with Spotify, because Spotify's so good with their, I guess it's the algorithm and the recommendations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the second you go on an artist profile, if you know, there's that strip at the bottom that says like other artists like this.
Yeah.
That really got me listening to more. So, and realistically, a lot of them are very, very similar. So there's not much of a difference between them, but there's like a lot of these artists out there that I wasn't really aware of until that, and then started seeing that these labels were exclusively putting the music out. And so I found out a lot about it, and maybe it was the same for everybody else, but yeah, it seems like it's kind of much more popular now than it ever had been in the past.
It's probably one of those like very niche things that there's been fests for it that are like 20 years old that we've never been to or heard of, but they have like thousands of people in like underground raves somewhere in Berlin.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And then, when you find out about something new like that, and then it's like, you get interested, and then everyone becomes interested who starts hearing about it. They're like, wow, this whole thing exists, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk a bit about Terror, because I love Terror. You love Terror. Everybody that I know loves Terror. Joining Terror in 2006, like, how did you get connected with those guys at the beginning of that?
So when the band started, I guess it would have been 2012, 2002. They started, playing local shows, and I wasn't at the first Terror show ever, but I was at the second one, and then every consequent show after that in the area, and just like immediately fell in love. And I think I had already met Scott before that, because he like left Buffalo and had moved to Arizona, and then from Arizona came to LA. And me and my brother had a band before, Donnybrook, and so we were playing shows around the same time. And I'm pretty sure we met each other before we started playing shows together. It was like Scott was at a show, or maybe he saw us play or something like that, and then we got to talking, and then we became friends before I ever joined the band. And then it was just like this thing where this was a time in Terror's life where everyone in the band was living in LA, which is not that anymore at all, So at this period of time, everyone was in Los Angeles. So it was like, we had our band, Terror existed. Everyone was just like younger and playing all these shows together, booking our own shows. And then we started like hanging out as friends outside of shows. It's just like, hey, we play these shows together. We see each other at shows all the time. Like, let's just barbecue together or whatever. And so we all started hanging out a lot. And then we played we played out of state together. We went on a short tour together. And then Terror took Donnybrook to Europe in 2005. I think it was 2005. And it was Terror, Donnybrook, Blacklisted from Philly. And after that, like shortly after that tour, they asked me to start playing in the band, because that was right when Frank left to play with Hatebreed, and he's been with Hatebreed ever since.
Right.
And then I stepped up and started playing with Terror. Yeah. And then it was just chaos after that. It was just like, we toured so much and played so many shows in the next, decade or so.
Right.
It was like really crazy for me, because it was all brand new. I toured and played a lot of shows, but this like kicked it up, 20-fold or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was never home. And it was a really amazing next decade for me because I saw the entire world pretty much, so it was really, I'm really thankful for that experience. So yeah, that's how it all happened. Yeah, we were just from like playing shows and seeing each other at shows and just being like, hey, we see each other all the time and what's up? Let's hang out.
Were you a Buried Alive fan before like you met Scott?
Yeah. So I had seen Buried Alive. That was the first time I ever saw Scott live. I didn't see Slugfest or Despair or any of the
Mm-hmm.
other bands before, but when I was in high school, uh, Candiria, Scarhead,
Mm-hmm.
Vision of Disorder, and Buried Alive were
Oh my
on a
God.
tour, and they came to California and they played. Their LA show was in Pomona, which is like part of LA County, at the Glass House, and I was a huge Candiria fan, still am, but that's who drew me to the show. I was like, I need to see Candiria in LA, and that was at a time where you get to a show. I didn't buy a pre-sale ticket. I got to the show like maybe hours before doors, and me and my brother waited in line, bought tickets, got in, and Buried Alive was the first band to play, and I hadn't heard him yet, and it just it sparked something. It really blew my
Right.
mind. It was so impressive, and so that's what turned me and my brother on to Buried Alive, was that first show, and followed him ever. It was a really short existence when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like they weren't like touring or anything for all that long, but we followed the band, and I may have seen them like once or twice more after that, and then they broke up, and then and then Terror started. So I already knew who he was, before Terror started playing shows.
I do feel like it was like, I mean, this is all, I'm probably 10 years or so younger than you. So I only heard the rumors of Buried Alive, and now they're, playing some shows here and there. So like,
Right.
people who actually got to like be at the shows and see that back in the early 2000s, it was like, that's a huge deal to even people in their late 20s, early 30s. It's like, that's crazy. And seeing like them with Vision of Disorder, like that's crazy. So, I think
totally.
there's kids now that look at like people like me that are like, I can't believe you got to see, let's say like Trapped Under Ice or Incendiary touring and stuff like that. But we look at like, you guys got to see those pre-bands,
Buried Alive,
like Buried Alive and all those guys. It's so I think there's always that grass is always greener, because we're always like,
when you didn't get to see it for yourself. Totally. Someone in my age bracket, you might kind of you might stop. I don't know. It's like you forget what it's like to have been like that, because you've just been around and you've seen a lot of the stuff happen. And when it really became evident to me was when Sound and Fury, when we had Have Heart play again.
Yeah.
And that was where I was like, wow. So there's this whole, there's like, it was like the perfect storm of, people of a certain age that saw Have Heart a bunch and are still young enough that they're around and still going to show. They're not like old and jaded. They're still like very active within hardcore. And then this whole other group of people who were just young enough that when Have Heart stopped playing shows, then these people started going. So it was like these two large groups of people that created this like insane special, experience, because it was like right in this middle point where a lot of bands don't hit that same exact middle point because they just happen to stop playing like right at the perfect time, and then they decided to play again right at the perfect time, where all the people like me who had seen them a bunch of times before hadn't seen them play in however many years it was, and was like, oh yeah, like their shows were awesome, I want to see them again, that kind of thing. So that's where it really became evident to me. I was like, damn, like all these people that I know that seem kind of not old, but they're grown up, they're 30 or whatever it is, which is pretty up there. They didn't get the chance to see them because the band had stopped playing 10 or so years ago. So it really that really tripped me out. And I was like, damn, like, because that was just a band that was like, they were just around. I saw them all the time. They toured California, like the first time they came to California with Verse and Guns Up, like I had them all stay at my house and stuff, and so I had this totally different view of them, and then I, seeing how people I knew were freaking out about it, being like, I never got to see him. I'm like, wait, what? You weren't there with me? Like, oh yeah, I guess we have this like kind of big age gap, So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm in that category. I never got to see Have Heart a single time. But they're one
Oh,
of my
so
favorite bands ever.
You didn't get to catch them on any of the shows that they did.
Not even the reunions.
Man, that's unfortunate. Yeah, that was one of the most some of the most impressive show experiences I've ever seen. It was really, really just like, oh my goodness, it was almost it's like overwhelming in a way when I would, because I got to see him 2 times because they played the 2 shows in LA, and it was just like night 1 was so intense that night 2, sometimes I just had to like look away from the stage, like please, like being, I felt it made me feel my age really, because I was like, please, nobody hurt themselves, like that kind of thing. I was just like so worried for people because everyone was just in complete chaos. It was just like they were so in the moment, which was beautiful. But watching it from my perspective, I was a little nervous. Like, holy shit! I hope no one breaks a bone or anything. Yeah, but it was perfect.
My friend was at the Sound and Fury set, and I think one of the first bands that he saw live when he was living in Mexico City was Have Heart. That was like his first big hardcore show. And so when he was at Sound and Fury, like 10 years later or something like that, he like got really hurt. Like not like to where he didn't get knocked out or anything, but he like, he got scraped up or something pretty bad. And basically that was his mosh retirement date, stamped the card. He's like, I'm out, I'm done. That was full circle for me. That's enough.
Yeah. For a lot of people, there's going to be that moment. It's just like, it's kind of funny to think about, there's like, okay, like when you're a kid, there's a moment where your parents hold you for the last time and they set you down, and then never again do they ever pick you up and hold you because then you grow up. Right. It's a similar thing with moshing. It's like there's this one time you're at a show and you mosh and maybe you get hurt, maybe you don't, but it just somehow ends up being the last time that you ever do that.
Yes.
And not for everybody, but for a large majority of people that happens, because, sometimes I'll see older people decide not be in the pit, and then it's always like, oof, like, oh man, maybe you should have thought that through or something, but
yeah,
it's definitely I personally feel it's like a young person's sport.
I'm rapidly embracing that train of thought as well. The windmills and the 2-steps don't feel like they used to.
No, I mean, you just get tired and you get injured way easier, that's the whole thing.
You do.
Or you don't want to injure somebody else, like it happens, whatever. I'm not, it is what it is and it's going to happen again. But, I don't know. I'm not trying to, it's, I leave it to everybody else to take care of that part of the show.
Just read the room. Read the room.
People. Yeah, I'll do my part in other areas of the show, and you guys take care of the moshing. So yeah.
Well, I know that you also play in Xibalba. You also play in God's Hate, like you said, 2 pretty active. Xibalba's still pretty active.
Yeah, I mean it definitely goes in waves, and right now is a wave where we're doing a lot of shows, and there's potential for a lot of shows coming up next year. Mostly international stuff, like going to Southeast Asia and South America and stuff where the band hasn't been in a while. But
cool.
We did a lot this year. We're actually playing this coming Sunday in LA. We have a thing out here, an annual toy drive called For the Children. And this year it's happening kind of like on 2 separate weekends, where this Sunday is the first installment of it. And it's like just one day, and it's a big metal show with Xibalba playing last. And it's like a lot of like newer kind of more contemporary death metal bands, like Phobophilic and Skeletal Remains and stuff like that. But then a week, not the next weekend, but the weekend after then is the 2-day show. And that's the one where Terror is playing, and it's like a, Rotting Out and Tsunami and all the hardcore bands are playing. But so Xibalba's doing that Sunday show. And then the next weekend we're flying to Arkansas and playing Little Rock, Arkansas. It's also a festival. It's like a metal festival, playing with like Tribal Gaze and stuff like that. And then going from Little Rock to Dallas and doing one show in Dallas that's just like a club show, and then back home. Yeah. So I got this weekend the show, and then next weekend those shows, and then the weekend after that is the actual toy drive. And Terror is playing Sunday of that, but then Saturday Terror is playing in Reading, Pennsylvania at a show they call the Keystone Hardcore Jam. We're playing with like Life of Agony and Agnostic Front and stuff. And then the Friday before that, we're in Connecticut doing a club show with Colin of Arabia and Standstill and some other bands. Yeah. So it's like, there's a lot happening, for the rest of this month until the new year. Yeah. So it's pretty wild. But yeah, Xibalba does play often when the band plays. It'll be like no shows and then a bunch of shows and then nothing. Yeah. So
yeah, it
gets pretty crazy.
No shows for like a year, 8 months to a year, and then 6 shows.
Yeah, we all have like pretty insane schedules and stuff too. Like Nate, who sings in the band, he's like this big time production guy. He runs a production company, and he builds stages for people and like big stage shows, and he works for artists like Dylan Francis and Kate Tronada, which are like that. He's in that world of things. So like right now he's in Tulum, Mexico, setting up this like big EDM, I guess it would be EDM, like beach festival or something like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when Xibalba plays shows, like we played LDB Fest, I guess that was earlier this year. I think it was this March. And he flew in from Dubai, the day of the show, like crazy stuff like that. Yeah. So, so that's a lot to do with why the schedule is so like on and off, because he's crazy busy. I'm really busy, and everyone in the band is pretty busy. So yeah, it gets pretty wild.
I got to give it to y'all for doing because you play in 3 to 4 pretty active bands, and then with everything else that people have going on, I feel like playing in like my 2 local bands that I can't handle it. So I gotta hand it to you and those guys. Like y'all on another level, man.
Yeah, it does take some discipline to not have a full meltdown, but yeah, it's rewarding, so I can't complain.
Is there, out of the bands that you're most active in now, is there one that you would say have the most fun playing with on stage just right now in its current kind of look?
Yeah, so I hate to have to choose, because I do, I enjoy it all. But I think it would be God's Hate, just because like riff wise, I feel like it's the most fun for me to play. I guess. Yeah. And it's just, that's like probably the most rare show that happens now. All the other bands play more than God's Hate does. So it's, and it's just it's always really fun to get together and do the whole 3 guitarist thing. It makes it even more fun. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's just, if I had to choose, that would be the one right now that it's like, I just have the most fun actually like playing the songs and, doing the shows with, but everyone else is in a close second. Yeah.
It looks, like when somebody does a joke or like a prank or something, but then it like people take it seriously and it catches on. Then it's like, oh, I guess we should keep doing this. That's almost how God's Hate looked to me, where it was like, oh, we don't have a lot going on. Let's just write some like heavy ass music and see where it goes. And then it like got really popular. So you're like, I guess we gotta play some shows.
Yeah. And it's like really hard to get everyone to be free at the same time, because with Brody, his wrestling career is like mind blowing. I mean, for people like us who were there when he was like, hey, I'm going to go to wrestling school, we're like, oh, that's crazy, but yeah, good luck. And then now he's on national television,
Right.
It's really cool, and that was the whole reason we just played a show in New York City,
Hmm.
and it was because he was there for AEW did like a weekend where they had a televised show and then a pay-per-view, so he was going to be there anyways, and we hadn't played New York City in a very long time,
Hmm.
so everyone else just came out and we did the one show, and yeah, it was amazing.
Playing with the three, or yeah, I guess the between God's Hate, Xibalba, and Terror. How does your guitar rig change? Because those are three different tunings, three different sounds.
Yeah. The only thing I change is my guitar. With Xibalba, like I have this, I actually have a 7-string guitar, which I never thought I would have one, but uh, ESP makes a baritone guitar
Hmm.
for low tunings, and I was going to get the 6-string baritone guitar, but they didn't have any in stock, but they had the 7-string, so I was like, screw it, I'll just get one. And it is a little harder to play because like the neck is like taller,
Yeah.
and it kind of feels weird in my hand, but anyways, I ended up getting one of those, and it's been like incredible to have, because before that I would just play my normal guitars and just down tune the shit out of them, and it felt like I was playing on spaghetti, and it just didn't, yeah, never really felt right. It
Right.
was hard to keep it like in tune how I wanted it. So, and then same with God's Hate, I just have a guitar that's pretty dedicated to just that tuning, and I just use heavier strings because it's a little bit lower than the Terror tuning. So,
Hmm.
and then I just use all my same stuff. Yeah, I just have like a pedal board with like a few pedals on it, and I just kind of adjust them how it's needed for the show. And so not much changes, but there are some differences there.
Do you have anything fancy on your pedal board?
Not at all. Well, okay, I would consider it fancy because I don't have a lot. I've always used the same 3 pedals:
Hmm.
tuner, noise suppressor, and then just a tube screamer.
Right.
But with Zabalba, I'll do a lot of the samples
Hmm.
in the live show. So I have like a sample pedal with a foot switch that controls it, and then a DI box
Hmm.
on the pedal board, so that when we play a show, they don't have to get me one, and I just plug directly into it, and that's it. But when you look at it, my pedal board looks crazy because there's all this shit on it, and I'm like, it's actually one of the most simple pedal boards around. There's nothing fancy happening here, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've always only used those same 3 pedals.
That's nice. Sound and Fury is also something that you're a big part of.
Right. Yeah.
You've been working with them for the past 3 years now.
Since 2016, and then before that, it was like, so my partner Sean Riley, who I do with now, Sean
Hmm.
and Madison. Sean started it in the beginning in 2000. Was it 6 or 9, somewhere around there, in that range, and so I was always like around and helping how I could. It would not nearly at the level that I am now.
Hmm.
Now it's like our thing. Before that, it would just be kind of like mainly was supporter. I would play every now and then, but always be there and help when I could. Yeah, so been there since the beginning, but now since 2016, been involved in the entire booking process and production side and stuff like that. Yeah.
So what is your like role now? I guess in proper.
I mean, so me and Sean are like the co-creators. So
Okay.
we like, I'll always do all the like kind of marketing side of things, and
Hmm.
all the graphics that we need, that kind of thing. Like I utilize my skills so that we don't have to outsource it to
Right.
anybody. And then always like with the lineup, it's before we had Madison involved. How we do now, it would just be me and Sean, and he used to live right up the street from me, so we would just meet multiple times a week, and just he would have his notepad, and we would just talk about everything that we wanted to do and write it all down, and just basically figure it all out on paper first. And we still do it like that now, but it's just we meet infrequently now. A lot of it's done either over Zoom calls or something like that, but
Hmm.
we all try to meet together, and then everyone gives their ideas and stuff like that. So it's like the whole curation is done by the 3 of us, and everything from this year was way more involved. We did a lot more because we didn't do it in a venue, like an actual building.
Right.
You know, it was outside, so we had to plan everything from the ground up, like how many stages we wanted, what size they were going to be, where we were going to put them, where the soundboard goes, what like food, where the bathroom, everything from top to bottom was thought about by us first, and then we just kept refining it, going over it. So I don't know what the title would be for me exactly, but I'm like in the shit. We're all in the shit, like with every single detail, everything that happens. It's like we either okay it or come up with it on our own. So
Damn.
yeah, it's a lot, but for me, it's 100% worth it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of creating. So it makes me so happy to be involved.
What 2022 was the biggest year y'all have had so far,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Every year from 2016 consecutively kind of like took a little jump up of people. And this was the biggest one so far. And then the day after that one ended, we already start talking about next year. So we've already had some like, big talks, and we have a good general outline of what we want to do. And we just got to figure out exactly when we want to do it. Cause there's a lot of stuff that happens nowadays. There's a lot of, everyone's kind of taking their shot at doing a festival. And,
Yeah.
It's always best to try to not conflict with any of that. We're pretty solid in, finally confirming, all right, these are the days we want to do it. And this is, we already pretty much have a lineup, a proposed lineup set and everything like that. But there's still a lot of work to do.
Right. I think y'all are now a festival, or should be a festival that people look at, and then they plan their festival around when that date is. Because Sound and Fury is, I think, like, the big three would be FYA, LDB, and Sound and Fury. I mean, aside from This Is Hardcore, of course.
Yeah, but I totally see what you're saying, though. Those three, I would say, is like more contemporary. There's like a lot more of the newer bands on between,
it's like a showcase almost.
Festivals. Yeah. So that makes sense. But yeah, there's a lot. Outbreak, which is in Manchester, I think, UK.
Manchester now.
Is that where it was? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Manchester. That shit is insane. It's like massive. And I saw the lineup for that this year, and there's like a lot of new things added to it, where Denzel Curry and then Death Grip. So I don't think that was the final lineup. I'm not sure what else more they're going to have, but that was like, wow, that's crazy. And then so I'm sure that people, it's kind of crazy to think about. I think about this a lot because knowing how many people we get that come to Los Angeles for Sound and Fury internationally, they take the time to book a plane ticket, and they have to book accommodations, and then they have to get a ticket, and all the effort that they're putting on leaving their country to come to the US. It never really translated the other way around, where a lot of American people don't really go abroad for things, but it feels like that festival in particular would get a lot of people from the US going over there. That's a big commitment and expense, and it really makes me appreciate the people that come here for something like that. It's like, man, it's a lot. It takes a lot to just commit to that and be like, all right, I'm going to go to this other country and stay for multiple days. And, it takes a lot of effort and money, and so, yeah, it's cool to see them having their each year they've gotten, better and better. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I love what you guys are doing with Sound and Fury. I was watching the videos because for me it was a big expense to fly to LA for the festival. I know. Watching the videos, it looked fun. Seeing Brody do his Superman dive off the stage onto a bunch of unsuspecting teenagers was also something to be marveled at. So I wish you guys well. Like, I mean, it's a big undertaking, so much respect to
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. It really does mean a lot to have people just either appreciate it or respect it or just think about it. Yeah.
But I do have one last question before we wrap it up.
Okay.
What's your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
Oh, I mean, I have to say Los Angeles. I mean, because we have both of those things. Like, so for coffee, yeah, we
Yeah.
got it. And for breakdowns, we definitely got that. I mean, it's definitely got to be in the top three, for that sort of thing. Cause yeah, there's, yeah, Los Angeles is just a very special place for me, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because, I'm biased, born and raised here, but we just have so many, the culture here is crazy, and like,
Right.
it's like a melting pot of so many people. And I feel like we get the best of all the people from everywhere that want to come here and be creative and do something. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's why we have everything that we have, and there's, miniature tastes of all these cultures, all like you can get some of the best Thai food, some of the best Japanese food and ramen and stuff like that. Indian food, we have, Little India and Ethiopia and all this, and Olvera Street. It's like being in Mexico, basically,
Yeah.
So, and then all these people they're making the best coffee, and then all these cultural melting pot, starting bands, and also having some of the best breakdowns. I gotta
That's
give it to us.
I'm on board with that answer. Whatever's going on in California as a whole, but especially like the Bay Area and then LA, y'all got
Oh yeah,
it's something in the water. But I guess it's not in the water. It's been a long thing that's been happening for 30 years now. So
yeah. Like
plus
shout
years.
out to the Bay. Like the Bay is just like so active, right? I mean, they always have been, in my opinion. I get, I'm close to it and I see it. And I've been going up to the Bay ever since I was a young teenager, just driving up 6 hours just to see a show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, just feels so special because it's like a whole new generation and so many young people being involved and doing a lot of big stuff, and all these cool bands that are getting worldwide recognition. It's really impressive to see, and it makes me happy to know that people are representing California in such a positive way. And coffee up there is amazing too. I don't know if you've
Oh yeah, it
ever heard of
is. Yeah,
Timeless
yeah.
Coffee. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess I kind of do know more about coffee than I thought I did. But yeah. Like I
I've
know
had
some
people
spots.
say that they didn't know about coffee, come on the podcast and know a lot less. So you definitely
I guess I don't know a lot about like the processes and
Oh, don't.
the beans and this and that, but I guess I drink it enough to know that there's spots that I love, and I know
Yeah.
around the country and the world there's like, I've been lucky enough to try a lot of different places and know the hot spots and stuff. So yeah, but Timeless is that's a good spot. It's a really cool place too because they employ a lot of like, it's just like one of those places that knows what's up, and like
Mhm.
everyone that works there is like, progressive, and uh so the place itself is like a progressive place. I think it's really cool.
Right. Well, Martin, I really, really enjoyed talking to you. This has been
Hell
a lot of
yeah.
fun. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Terror, Xibalba, God's Hate, Criminal Instinct. I actually knew about Donnybrook before I realized that you were in Donnybrook.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But oh, and then I didn't even talk about World Collapse, but I mean, World Collapse, you guys are writing stuff, so
Yeah.
we'll be
Stuff
on
will
the
be
lookout.
hopefully coming soon. Yeah. I want to bring the band to LA to do like some sort of cool special show or something like that. I'm singing in the band, which is like crazy for me. I don't know
Hmm.
if anyone listening to this hasn't heard the band. Definitely check out the record that's on all streaming, Deutschland, Deutschland, Into the Night, and then try to imagine me singing those songs. Well, hey, I think I did a great job. We did one show together, and I had so much fun and got a lot of compliments on beautiful singing voice.
Nice.
But yeah, so new stuff hopefully coming soon. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll be checking that out, and hopefully we'll be catching up soon. But
Hell
take
yeah.
it easy.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I want to say a huge thanks to Martín for hanging out on the podcast. If you haven't already, listen to the new singles from Terror, Dead at Birth. It's a cover of a Death Threat song. Super, super sick. Also, be on the lookout for new music from World Collapse. And check out anything from Xibalba and God's Hate. They're doing some shows coming up as well. It's always fun seeing them. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. If you'd like more information about the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at Beans and Breakdowns or on the web at beansandbreakdowns.com. Until next week, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up.